Ladies and gentlemen, today I actually want to talk to you about the risks and dangers of using a hardware wallet, and in doing so, answering some of the questions you might have. Actually, I had the same when I started, because still there's so much uncertainty about using a hardware wallet, and that's why today I want to answer some of those questions for you. Starting off with the first one, that's probably the most common one, and that's the question, what happens if I lose my seed phrase? As you might have heard before, the seed phrase or your recovery phrase are 24 individual words which basically protect your entire crypto. So that's the most important thing that you need to remember whenever you get a hardware wallet, and it really doesn't matter which manufacturer, most of them are using 24-word standard. So this is what you have to guard with your life, so to say, because if you lose that word, basically your cryptos are gone. There's no way for you to recover them. That's the most important thing you need to remember. You can even lose your ledger or your Trezor or any hardware wallet that you might be using for that matter. If you have the word, you can always recover it. You go online, there are recovery pages, or you can just buy a new hardware device, put in the seed phrase, and then basically restore your wallet from there. However, if you're lucky enough to still have your hardware wallet, in my case I'm using Ledger, and you have the physical wallet, plus remember your PIN code, then from there you could also restore it, order a new wallet ledger, and then with this you could transfer it to a new ledger device, and then basically create a new 24-word seed phrase. Now the second most common question is, what happens if I forget the PIN or password to my wallet device? Now that's not good, but not as bad as forgetting your seed phrase or losing it, because simply by opening the Ledger or Trezor, whatever device you're using, you can then with your seed phrase or password restore your wallet device and basically create a new PIN for that particular device. So that's really not so bad. It happens sometimes, it's not good. Ideally, you should really try to remember a 6-digit number, but if you forget it, that's not the end of the world. You can easily restore it and create a new PIN for your device. The next question is, what if my hardware wallet is lost or destroyed, right? These things can happen. But once again, that's really not too bad, because actually your cryptos are not stored on the device. The device is just holding on to your private keys. Your actual cryptocurrencies are always sitting online on the blockchain. That's the whole point of the crypto and blockchain system. So they're not stored on your device. It's not something you download on them. They're just holding on to your private keys. So if the device is lost or destroyed, once again, by having your 24-word seed phrase or recovery phrase, you just buy a new device. You can do that also online, but I always suggest to keep it offline by having a device. And then basically with that seed phrase, you enter it into the new device, and that will be set up as your old device basically. So by having it restored on a new device, you can basically continue using your cryptocurrencies, access them, withdraw them, deposit them, whatever you have to, as you did with your old device. So losing it or damaging it is really not so bad. Once again, most important to look after your seed phrase. Another question I commonly get asked, can my ledger be hacked? Now the answer is yes and no. Technically, it really can't. For example, I'm using the Ledger Nano S Plus, which basically doesn't have any connectivity except for USB. It doesn't have battery, it doesn't have Bluetooth. So honestly, there's no way to hack into it unless it's physically connected to my computer. Otherwise, it's sitting in my safe and there's no way to communicate with it. There are some wallet devices having Bluetooth with the battery. So technically, somebody outside the safe, if they really wanted to, they could technically find a way to hack themselves into your device and potentially retrieve your private keys. But again, that's highly unlikely. The second option though is social engineering hacking. Basically, people pretending to be Ledger, and you order the wallet from them, and you get the Ledger, you write down the seed phrase, and then you use it, etc. You do what you have to do. All the while the device was already tampered with, and basically the seed phrase, which should be normally completely random, was actually generated by those hackers, and they, once you go live and activate your stick, basically can easily drain your wallet. That's why I always say never buy a used wallet. Always buy from the original manufacturer's website, and you can be sure to get the real one by using my link in the description below. That will take you to the official Ledger website, and you can order a genuine hardware wallet in the process. Another question I get, what happens if my physical wallet is being stolen? Now the good thing here is your hardware wallet, in this case I'm using the Ledger, it's also protected by a PIN code, which is either 4 digits or 6 digits. I always recommend go with the longer 6-digit PIN code, but other wallets, they have a passcode with letters in there. So really make sure you protect your Ledger, because if somebody has it physically and your code is 4 times 0 or 1, 2, 3, 4, it's very easy for somebody to open it and then start using it, and they can easily transfer and withdraw your cryptocurrencies. Now, if somebody finds a Ledger and tries to open it by putting a code and they get it wrong 3 times, then actually what happens, that's very smartly inbuilt into the device, it will completely wipe the device and restore it to factory settings, and all your private keys will be gone as well which basically renders the stick useless, and that's very good. So that's another security measure in place. While you at the same time with your seed phrase can transfer it once again to a new wallet and set it up as your new default wallet, making your lost and old wallet unusable basically. Another great question is, what's the best way of storing a ledger and seed phrase? And that's something I'm actually still thinking about, because currently at the moment I have both my ledger hardware wallet and my seed phrase in a safe, so it's very secure and good. But if, God forbid, something happens, there was to be a fire, and let's say the paper of the seed phrase would burn, I don't have the seed phrase anymore, right? Only the hardware wallet, which probably after a fire would also not be functioning anymore. So I wouldn't be able to access my ledger wallet with the PIN code in order to restore my other seed phrase. So ideally, you want to have two safes in different locations. So you either have access to your ledger wallet, or in another case, in case something happens to that, you have a seed phrase. And vice versa. If something happens to your seed phrase, you still have your ledger wallet. So you want to make sure they're in different locations. I think it would be smart to have closer access to your ledger stick, because that's something you connect to your computer, something you use quite often when you transact, you deposit, you withdraw cryptocurrency. You always need your ledger wallet. Your seed phrase could even be kept in another country if you wanted to, because you only would use it in case you lose your ledger or it's stolen, etc. Something happens to your device. But most of the time, you don't really need access to it. The other one you want to keep closer to you, because you're probably going to be using it more regularly. There are also companies that specialize into putting your seed phrase on metal sheets where you can basically engrave it, or using little metal letters to basically write your seed phrase on a metal sheet. So whatever you decide, make sure nobody else has access to it. You don't want to share it with anyone, especially your seed phrase, because anyone who has your seed phrase, your recovery phrase, basically has full and unrestricted access to your cryptocurrency. Another question I had myself is, does Ledger actually know your seed phrase? And the answer is no. If you go on the website and read the fine print, there's an industry standard and method they are following that basically randomizes those words, and they have no access and way of knowing that. And also they will never ask you for it, because sometimes the hackers and phishing attacks out there where basically hackers try to get the seed phrase from you. They will ask you for the word, etc. Really, nobody ever has the right to ask you for your seed phrase. That's only used to recover your device in case it's lost or damaged. Otherwise, nobody, not even Ledger or anyone, will ever ask you for the words. If they do, most likely it's going to be a hack. But once again, that happens if you order from the genuine website of the vendor, Trezor, Ledger or any other. So you want to make sure that's the case, because if you don't, once again, it could have been tampered with and somebody could have uploaded their own seed phrase, which once you start using it, they can easily drain it, because obviously they have the access to it. You want to make sure that you use the original hardware wallet device from the particular vendor. And once again, if you don't have a Ledger device yet, then please use the link in my description below. You can be sure you get a genuine Ledger wallet, and I get a little kickback out of it for no additional cost to you. And the last question is, what if the company producing my hardware wallet goes out of business? And we've seen this before, right? Companies come and go, especially now when the crypto markets are going down. You know, a lot of companies are struggling, and maybe Trezor or Ledger might go out of business, right? It could happen, even though right now, when actually the markets are going down and all those exchanges are going bust, they're actually having the time of their life, because everybody takes ownership of their own cryptocurrency by buying those hardware wallets. So actually right now they're doing very well. But again, things might happen in the future, nobody knows yet, and one of them could go out of business. The great thing is Ledger, Trezor and many other companies are following an industry best practice and standard of using a 24-word seed phrase or recovery phrase, which you can easily transfer to another wallet. Let's say Trezor goes out of business, you can then transfer your private keys from the Trezor onto a Ledger wallet by basically buying a Ledger wallet, and then basically instead of creating a new Ledger wallet, you restore your old, so to say, you put in your seed phrase, and then voila, you have all your private keys from your Trezor on your Ledger. So it's basically sitting in the blockchain, and by using a seed phrase, you can easily change the device that is able to access those coins sitting on the blockchain. And that's all there is to it. If you still have any other questions, pop them below. I answer every single one of them. Next up, check out this video over here where I take you through the entire process of setting up a Ledger wallet and transferring from an exchange onto your wallet. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I see you in the next one. Ciao.